China's Xi Jinping arrived in Moscow within the past hour. He's spending 3 days in Russia to meet with President Vladimir Putin. Xi is the first world leader to meet with Putin since the International Court issued an arrest warrant over his alleged war crimes. So for more on this, I want to bring in CBS News reporter Mary Ilyushina. She's following the story for us from Riga, Latvia. Mary, so this is interesting. Russia and China have talked about the relationship that they have. They called it a friendship with, quote, no limits. But clearly there are some limits because China has not, as far as I know, provided Russia with any arms or support in that way. There may be other types of financial support, like purchasing grain and so on and so forth. But what will the Kremlin be looking to get out of this meeting?
Hi, Marie. Well, I think the most important thing for the Kremlin to show right now, and for Putin personally, is that he's not as isolated as the West says. He has other trading partners that, everything that the West says, that's limited to sort of the Western world. But there's a lot of other actors on the international scene that he can turn to and seek prosperous trading relations. And, for Russia, I think they're going to go over a lot of economic points. For example, we know that the West sort of put oil caps on Russian oil. There are various export controls. And Russia has turned to China to sell a lot of that stuff that it can't sell to the West anymore. So, for example, the gas export doubled last year, and that's one of the main revenues of the Russian budget. So all of these things are really important for Putin to make sure that they go on as they were going before the war, that the economic relationship is important here because that's the sort of the main country Russia can, find a lot of things it can't find elsewhere.
Now, I know the messaging within Russia about this war is, controlled, and the access to information is limited, at least on the government-sanctioned media outlets. What sort of impact is this meeting likely to have on, Vladimir Putin and the Kremlin's ability to whip up support for this war effort?
Well, I think it again underscores this fundamental talking point by the Kremlin that, there's dozens of other countries that Russia is still very much engaging with, and it's not completely cut off. It also shows that, China is not abandoning Russia, that there is a partnership that is booming, that they will be able to get goods from China, that it's not the Iron Curtain everywhere, right? That's important. But at the same time, even in Russian state media, which is sort of the main kind of news source for a lot of Russians, there are some allusions to the fact that Russia is, at this stage, is kind of a junior partner in this relationship, and that it would be quite difficult for them to actually have a balanced relationship and not be, sort of now owe China something, and that is also an important point to note because Russia will try to portray itself as an equal in this relationship. And for Russians who are reading this and thinking, oh, maybe it's not as equal as, the Kremlin is trying to portray it.
Meantime, also over the weekend, President Putin made a surprise visit to Crimea and Mariupol. I could not help but to think of Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky and his sort of walkabouts as the war is raging. We have not really seen Putin in this kind of environment at all. Why do we suppose the Russian leader made the decision to make this visit?
Well, I think there was kind of an act of defiance that happened 48 hours after the International Criminal Court issued a warrant for Putin's arrest over the what this is, abduction and displacing Ukrainian children from war zones to Russia, and that's also a way to kind of solidify Russia's claim to these lands. Russia in the fall annexed 4 regions of Ukraine without actually controlling them fully physically or politically, and they're still trying to present themselves as a permanent power in these territories. It's important for him to kind of do the show of force, but again, he went there unannounced. At night he went to Mariupol and he only toured, a residential complex, the one that Russia built, and there are thousands of destroyed houses. So, locally, I'm not sure how exactly that will be, perceived as permanent force because it's very much Russia's position in these areas is very much still a question.
Right, Mary, thank you very much.